Good morning everybody. Welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will discuss the issue of fiscal consolidation and what is the importance of fiscal consolidation and why do we need fiscal consolidation in place of fiscal stimulus, and what is the difference between fiscal consolidation and fiscal stimulus, and what is the path that India has to follow in order to come out of the after effects of COVID-19 pandemic. First, let's discuss the context in which this issue is being discussed. The first context is the UNESCO estimates that were out recently, which said that in 2021 and 22, the GDP growth rate of India is expected to be around 9.2%. I would also like to remind you that a couple of weeks back, there was a report by RBI and IMF which said that the projected growth rate for the year 2021 and 22 would be 9.5%. Okay, but the UNESCO estimates said that the growth rate would be 9.2%, which is almost 30 basis points lesser than the RBI and the IMF estimates. This is the context. This is the context in which the issue of fiscal consolidation and fiscal stimulus has come. Have inflation and the nominal GDP divided by the real GDP will give you the rate of inflation. Okay, will give you the rate of inflation. Now let's see what are the reasons for recession in India. Okay, post COVID-19, we say that India faced a slowdown and also India faced a recession. So let's see, for any recession to happen, we will have two reasons, that is structural and we'll have cyclical. Okay, we'll have structural and also we'll have cyclical. So what are the structural reasons? Structural reasons are something like implementation of GST. When GST was implemented, you can remember, because of the confusions and also because of the infrastructural delays, the tax compliance was less. Tax compliance was not as expected, and implementation of GST can be called as a structural reform, and the recession, if it was caused because of the implementation of GST, then we could have called it as structural recession. And also the second one is logistics. Okay, logistics. In the comment box, you please comment what is the average cost of logistics in India. Okay, average cost of logistics in India. I want you all to comment in the comment box. Okay, and in this context, we can also have demonetization as a structural reason for recession. Okay, cyclical recession. What are the cyclical factors? Business cycle is one of the cyclical factor. What is a business cycle? In the economics, you have a cycle which goes like, there is a boom phase, after that there is a slowdown. Okay, after that there's a slowdown, after that there's a recession. Okay, there's a recession and there is recovery. There is a recovery and then you have a boom. Boom is when the economy is working to its fullest extent. The economy is at its highest productivity. Economy is working at its highest potential. That phase is called a boom phase, and this is a business cycle. And the recession caused due to this movement in a business cycle, this change in the business cycle is called the cyclical recession. And the second one, we have rainfall pattern. We all know that the sectors of economy, we have agriculture, we have manufacturing, and also we have services. Okay, the sectors. And this agriculture, we can know almost 48% of agricultural land is irrigated. 48% is irrigated. The rest 52% is not irrigated and depends on rainfall. Okay, and depends on rainfall. So rainfall pattern impacts the, this is the cyclical factors. And the cause of concern, why are we concerned now? What are the factors that are causing us fears in the Indian economy? The first one is adverse effect of COVID-19. We all know we had demand supply mismatch. Okay, demand supply mismatch, which led to double digit inflation. Okay, which led to double digit inflation. And also we had supply side bottlenecks. We have discussed here supply side bottlenecks because of COVID-19. All these factors adversely impacted the Indian economy, and this is the biggest cause of concern. And the second one is the consumption expenditure and the employment. Consumption expenditure is nothing but the amount of money spent by the people. Okay, that is consumption expenditure. And the employment generation, when government is not spending money, when the public investment is not happening and the employment is not getting created because of the supply bottlenecks, private players are not ready to invest because of the uncertainty caused by the COVID-19. Private players are not ready to invest, and when there's no investment, there's no employment. Okay, when there is no employment, there is no income. When there is no income, okay, when there is no income, there is no savings. See, this is like a cycle. Okay, this is like a cycle. First you have investment. After you invest, what do? You create employment. Once you've created the employment, this gives rise to income. Okay, when there is income, there is increase in demand. Okay, there is increase in demand. When people get more money, they aspire for more goods and services. When they aspire for more goods and services, there is increasing in demand. When there is increasing in demand, both public and private partners, private players, they want to invest. Okay, this is like a cycle. If there is no investment, there is no employment, there is no income, there is no demand, and it reduces the investment further. This you call vicious cycle. This is the vicious cycle. Any one part of this entire process is affected, it affects the entire economy. Okay, this you can use these kind of diagrams when you're writing answers in your GS3. Okay, this adds value to your answers. Okay, practice these kind of diagrams wherever you can, wherever you are able to relate things. Have these kind of diagrams ready before you write the exam. Practice this in each and every paper. You can have this kind of diagrams even in the society part of GS1. You can have this in policy formulation part in GS2, and also when you're writing questions on environment, when you're writing questions on internal security, disaster management, or the economics for that matter, you can have these kind of diagrams ready with you so that you can add those extra 5 to 10 marks in each and every paper. Okay, we'll move forward. Third one is the GST compensation to states. What is the GST compensation? When the GST was enacted, as you all know, it is a demand driven or a consumption based tax. Okay, it's a consumption based tax. Because of that, the central government promised 14% increase in the tax revenue for the next 5 years. Okay, and this is going to end in March 2022. It is going to end in March 2022, and now the states are unhappy. They want to extend, they want center to extend this GST compensation scheme so that their revenue is met. And the last one, the supply side bottleneck that we have already discussed. And the last one is a dilemma for the policymakers or the economists to go either for fiscal consolidation or fiscal stimulus. Okay. Fiscal consolidation and fiscal stimulus are two different concepts in economy which are almost opposite. You can tell there can't be a fiscal consolidation when the government goes for fiscal stimulus. So what is fiscal consolidation and stimulus is? Fiscal consolidation is when the government is focused more on reducing its fiscal deficit and its debts. Okay, such processes or mechanisms is called fiscal consolidation. Then what is fiscal stimulus? When government pushes growth, when government pushes for growth through investment, this is called fiscal stimulus. You might have heard in news that government is announcing fiscal stimulus packages. For example, there is one called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. During the time of COVID, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana is one of the example for fiscal stimulus packages that was announced by the government. Then let's go, what is fiscal consolidation? Let's go deeper into what is fiscal consolidation that we have discussed. Higher borrowing. Why do we need fiscal consolidation first? Because higher fiscal deficit is detrimental to growth. Okay, remember this. Fiscal consolidation is required because higher fiscal deficit is detrimental to growth. Higher borrowing. What does the higher borrowing causes? Higher borrowing causes higher interest payments. Higher borrowing causes higher interest payments. Limited fiscal space. If the government is paying off almost 50% of its revenues to the previous debts, then it will have very limited fiscal space. Government will have very less money to spend. Because of that, there will be limited capital expenditure. There is limited capital expenditure. We discussed earlier that the investment is the engine for growth. Investment is the engine for growth. If there is a limited capital expenditure, then there is no investment. If there is no investment, there is reduced revenue. There is reduced revenue to government. If there is reduced revenue, government will automatically go for higher borrowing again. See, in this video we have discussed two different kind of cycles, two different schematic representations. One, the effect of fiscal consolidation and the need for fiscal consolidation, and the second one that we have discussed is the effect of investment, in economy. Okay, practice such kind of diagrams so that it can be helpful in your mains answers. Okay, efforts to check fiscal deficit. In this video, I want you to go and read more about FRBM Act, when was it enacted, and provisions of FRBM Act. Okay, provisions of FRBM Act and encasing committee. These are all the methods for fiscal consolidation. Okay, FRBM Act said the fiscal deficit should be 3% of GDP by 2021 March, and the government's debt should not be more than 60%. In this, 40% for central government and 20% for state governments. Okay, and the 15th Finance Commission also said the fiscal deficit should be 4% by 2025 and 26. Okay, this is the recommendation of. And what is the way forward? What should we do? Extend the GST compensation scheme as it is demanded by the states. Extend the GST compensation scheme for next 2 to 3 years. Rationalization of GST rates. We have different scales of GST. Make it 1 or 2 so that it is easy for compliance. Direct tax code, as GST is an indirect tax and it is regressive, make provisions for direct tax code and increasing in tax compliance and tax base. And the next one is capital investment. Okay, you need to push for capital investment so that it creates employment and at the same time it helps in growth. It helps in GDP growth. Urban MG Narega is only for rural areas as of now. Extend the similar kind of program for urban unemployed so that it helps in their income. and it boosts the urban demand. And the last one is implementation of National Investment Plan and National Monetization Program. Okay, these are the two flagship programs that are announced. Proper implementation of these programs will help to bridge the gaps in Indian economy and will help India to attain $5 trillion. $5 trillion economy is our dream. Okay, we can achieve this $5 trillion economy if these reforms are carried out. Okay, then what are the takeaways? Okay, first thing we learned about slowdown, recession and business cycle. Okay, business cycle. We also learned the structural and cyclical. Okay, and we also discussed challenges to growth. We discussed the fiscal consolidation and fiscal stimulus. Okay, we also discussed fiscal consolidation and fiscal stimulus, fiscal and monetary measures, and what can be the monetary measures and the fiscal measures in order to counter the after effects of COVID-19. Implementation is the key. National Investment Plan and National Monetization Program, these has to be implemented in a proper way so that the economy grows in an inclusive way. Okay, that is the goal, growing the economy in an inclusive way. Let's discuss a question here. What do you mean by fiscal consolidation? Okay, we have discussed this. What is fiscal consolidation and what is fiscal stimulus? Why do you think is it necessary? We also discussed the cycle. Like what are the effects of higher fiscal deficit and higher borrowing. You can use, I already told you, you can use these kind of diagrams in order to add value to your answers. Okay, for more such content, subscribe to Legacy IAS Academy. Thank you.